New baby skip. Turning the music off because it's loud AF. Okay, so for the old baby skip, we would hang out back here. I don't know if I can even do it anymore. I will try. We do, yeah, like this. We'd have to let the baby fly around us a few times. Other way, like this. Okay. And it was good. It was really consistent, and it's what people have been doing for like 10 years. Okay. However, there is a new baby skip. So notice I'm standing over here instead. There are a few different ways that you can set this up, but the idea is that we want to rotate the baby around us in the other direction. Okay? It's much faster. It's 2 to 3 seconds faster, depending on how many rotations you do. It's also harder. So be aware of that. Be aware that this is a harder version of the baby skip, but it's faster. It's faster in this room, and it's faster in the next room. See that? You see how freaking fast that was? It's good. It's a good strat. I kind of hated it at first, and then I sat down and I grinded the hell out of it, and I was like, I'm going to figure this out. And I spent hours and hours and hours on it, and I did. I figured it out. So I'm going to talk about my setup. There are other setups. The thing about my setup is, and Oats does my setup as well, and I'm trying to convert Zos to do my setup because it's really good, and it makes the fastest version of the skip pretty dang consistent. I did it 12 times in a row earlier. It was great. That's not me trying to flex. I'm just trying to illustrate consistency here. So, First I'll talk about the start of my setup, and then I'll talk about the baby rotation jumping parts, and then I'll talk about shooting the baby, and then I'll talk about jumping through the door. Okay, so we start off, the baby detaches from the hopper and it flies upwards, right? When the top of the baby reaches the lines, the horizontal lines and the silo thing in the background right there, either right when it reaches those or just very shortly before is when you want to jump. And the reason we're jumping is to normalize when we run. You could also just find a visual cue to decide when to run, but I like this jump. You run forward upon landing, okay? And then you do a stutter where the screen was locked, okay? Either where the screen was locked or right after where the screen was locked. What the stutter does is it resets Samus's run speed so that she can get a good speedy jump to jump over the baby and swing it underneath Samus. Okay, see that? We want those wide swings. We want the wide swings. See, so that wasn't very good because it was pretty close to Samus. We want the wider swings where it's not so close to Samus like that. That's really good. Okay. All right. Again, the stutter is right here. There's this vertical beam in the background on either side of this silo thing. Okay. And it's right on the left side of the beam or right past it. Okay. As long as you do the stutter right there, you can run forward and jump pretty much any point between there and when Samus will bonk. I actually tasked this out. And as long as you're timing the jump correctly, you can get a successful start to this baby skip. Now, the start is the most important part. Because if you can't get a good start, then you're not going to be able to finish, obviously. I know that sounds really dumb. Like duh, Zenny. It's obvious, dude. But the start of this baby skip is much, much harder than the start of the previous way of doing this. Okay. All right. So next, we're going to talk about the baby swings. So like I said, the baby is swinging around Samus, right? We want the wide swings. We get the wide swings by... it's based on how fast Samus's V speed is when she jumps, which is based on how much run speed she has when she jumps. And also how fast the baby is coming at you and how close it is to you when you jump. Okay. So again, I like the stutter to set up the wide swing. For this second jump, or the third, okay, one. For the second jump, we want another wide swing. And we don't want to swing back. We don't want to swing Samus back to the right too far. But we also don't, depending on how the first swing went, you may need to do a swing back to the right. The thing is, if you want to do the fastest version of the skip, you want to be further left when you land, okay? I think we got grabbed here. No, we didn't. Okay. So the easiest way to stay further to the left is to do a stationary turnaround, okay? What I mean by that is like that. So usually when you turn around in a spin jump, you're going to move back the other direction, right? You're going to be like, wee, like that. We want to do a straight fall. After turning, we want to fall straight. But again, you only want to do that if you get a good swing on the baby to start. So that was pretty good. I tried to do a straight fall there, but I messed it up. That's okay. But yeah, the further left you are after the second jump, the better chance you have of being able to do the fastest version of the skip. Okay. All right. Next thing we're going to talk about is shooting the baby. Does shooting the baby even do anything, Zenny? Why, yes, it does. Would you look at this? It is absolutely doing stuff to the baby by shooting it. After it starts charging Samus, the effect is drastically reduced, but it's still there. Okay. So Oshino Shinobu is a runner of this game, and they were having a really hard time getting this baby skip to work. And then they started shooting the baby on the rotations. And they were like, hey, Zenny, I started shooting the baby on the rotations, and it made it much easier for me. Do you think that that's a real thing? And I was like, I don't know, maybe. And so we asked about it in Discord, and people much smarter than me were like, yes, here's the line in the code that describes what the baby does when Samus shoots it, and it will move more or less depending on how much damage is being done by the shot, but only up to 30 damage, which is weird because like almost everything does more than 30 damage. And they were talking about that, and anyway, they confirmed that it does actually move the baby. So that stuff is going on. And I tried it and it wasn't helping, so I dropped it, right? Well, then the other day, this is a week or two ago, I decided rather than shooting it on both rotations, I would just shoot it on the second one. And as soon as I started doing that, it made we call it the 3-jump skip, much more consistent for me. And I was like, whoa. And I shared it with Oates, and he was like, whoa. And now, you know, before there were a lot of setups where we'd be like, no, we can't do 3-jump with this because it's too risky. Now, even with the risky setups, if we if we shoot the baby, it'll still work. Like, that is a setup that would totally not have worked before, but it worked because I shot the baby. It adjusts the baby just enough that the way that it's aggressively approaching Samus changes and can allow us to get through the door without getting grabbed. That being said, what you really want is for the baby to bonk on that left wall. I think we got grabbed here. But usually, if the baby bonks on the left wall, that is going to increase the time that it takes to grab Samus by so much that it's almost guaranteed that you'll get through without getting grabbed. Which is kind of funny that I got grabbed by that other one because, you know, that's just how tutorials work. Like, you're like, let me show you this thing and how it works. And then you do it and it does something completely different. And you're like, that's not what was supposed to happen. But, yeah. So that's the 3-jump version. Now, if you want to be a sane person and do a safer strat here. So what you do, after doing the 2nd jump and shooting your baby on the way down, you're shooting your baby. Wow, Zenny. Clip that out of context, huh? After shooting the baby Metroid on the way down, you want to do an angle down shot and shoot the Dust Ripper on the floor so it's not in your way, okay? And then you'll hold a shot and do one more jump over the baby. So 2, shoot, 3, release, shoot as you're jumping over the baby one more time, and make sure that you're facing left. And what will happen is a buffered shot will come out and automatically clear the moss there for you. Okay? If you're manually clearing the moss, I almost forgot to mention this. So for the 3 jump, you have to kind of manually time your shot to clear the moss. You need to release, or you need to either release shoot if you're charging a shot, or press shoot where the Dust Ripper was, or just to the left of it on the floor. Because if you do it too early, what's going to happen is you're not going to break all the moss. Like that. Okay? And if you do it too late, what's going to happen is you're going to break some of the moss, but not enough. Like that. Alright? So you got to do it where the Dust Ripper was on the floor, or just to the left of it. That was a good left wall bonk by the baby, by the way. And that's it, honestly. So again, the 4+ jump strat. You just want to rotate the baby one more time, or 2 more times, or whatever, and then jump through. And yeah, that's the new baby skip. I have a dedicated tutorial video for it, but it doesn't talk about shooting the baby Metroid and what that does and how it makes the 3-jump version easier. So I may actually clip this one out and replace the video. Yeah, that is that strat. That is what the next room looks like. I don't really know how to explain that. Shoot down, select supers, jump through the door. That's it, really. Okay, so I know, we just covered in the previous tutorials about Stashio Skip. We covered different setups to start the baby skip here. And the one that I was doing was on the dome. You jump, and then you do a stutter, and you jump over the baby like that, right? And that is how I was doing baby skip for my most recent PRKD attempts and the first bit of RBO attempts that I was doing. But something that you may have noticed when I just did that just now, I did 4 jumps instead of 3 jumps. And the reason for that was, for whatever reason, plasma beam, when you shoot the baby with plasma beam, it reacts differently than it does with Spazer. I think it's because of different hitbox sizes. With Spazer, 3-jump was pretty, not like free, but it was pretty easy to get a 3-jump if I shot the baby. But with plasma, for whatever reason, it just wasn't, it wasn't as easy. So I started playing around with different openers again, and shortly after I made the previous tutorial, which I guess I'll just explain. I'm gonna kind of take different sections of the different tutorials that I've recorded and put them all into one video. So the last video, but it's technically still this same video, blah blah blah, whatever. Hopefully you understand. Shortly after I made that, Stashio came up with a bomb spread setup to start off the skip. And the way that works, it looks like this. We didn't do that quite correctly, but that's how it starts off. Is you hold a charge and then you do this bomb spread thing here. That should work, I think. Yeah, okay. So let's talk about bomb spreads. So normally when you charge, normally you lay a bomb, you morph into a ball, and you press shoot, and Samus lays a bomb, right? What most people do with bomb spreads is they charge, and then they morph, and bombs immediately come out like that. Okay? You can delay your bombs coming out if you hold down, and then when you release down, the bombs will come out. Okay? And they go higher or lower depending on how long you held down for. If you hold down the entire time, they explode like really high. They bounce really high. Okay? So what we're doing here is we're timing when we morph so that we can just hold down until they come out naturally like this, and then going. That wasn't good. That's okay. That is okay. So the way that this works is the hopper is going to jump over, the baby grabs onto it, right? And then what you do is you run over to the left wall with a charge held, and you watch and you wait for the hopper to do its last hop there. After the hopper does its last hop, the way that I time the morph, this is the way that I do it. It's not necessarily the best way to do it. You might find a different cue for yourself. But I'm watching the claws go in and out, right? You can't see like this, like this, right? And after the hopper lands, they are kind of in an out position, and then they go in, and that's 1. And then as they move back out, and then they start to come back in again, that's 2. So I count to 2 and then morph. So I'll do that a few times so you can see. So we're waiting for it to hop. 1, 2. And the idea is that you want the bombs to come out as the baby reaches the peak of its float as it comes off, as it detaches from the hopper. Okay? So watch again. 1, 2. And then if you notice, the bombs come out just as it reaches the top. Now, what these bombs do is they push the baby downward. Okay? What that does is it alters the general trajectory of the way that it's swinging around you. I guess it's like this for you guys. it alters the trajectory of the way the baby's swinging around you so that you can get a better swing so that you can get past the first part and then have it, swinging around you while you clear the moss and then get out. And ideally you want to do that in 3 jumps. We already talked about 3 jumps and 4 jumps and stuff. 1, 2. Pop. All right, so now that was bad. My positioning was bad there. So now we're going to talk about. That was early. I morphed early. We're going to talk about different ways that you can manage this. 1, 2. So what I like to do is I like to hold dash the entire time and do a stutter. The stutter is in base. It's in the same spot as it was for my other setup. 1, 2. Okay, and that's it. Like, other than that, the rest of the skip is more or less the same as it was with the setup where I started from the dome and then jumped and then ran forward and did the stutter. It's more or less the same. There are other ways to do this. 1, 2. Stashio likes to not hold dash at all and jump over the baby like that. I mean, as you can see, that didn't go very well for me. 1, 2. And I think part of that is because I'm not used to it in terms of my grip. But part of it is also I like that less because 1, 2. You don't get a speedy jump over the baby, which makes the first jump kind of weird for me, in my opinion. And it also makes it, since Samus is running to the left at a different speed, makes getting over the dome a little bit more awkward too. These are all just my opinions. Like, obviously it's still absolutely viable, so maybe you try it out and you like the no dash setup better than the dash stutter setup. Like, maybe that's just how it is, and that's totally fine if that's the case. The thing about Stashio Skip, and I mentioned this in the Discord earlier, is Stashio Skip is like a puzzle that can be put together in like 4 or 5 different ways. Like, eventually I think, it'll get tested out by multiple people and, different trends will come and go and whatever. And I think eventually there will be 1 or maybe 2, maybe 3 like main methods of like, this is the correct way to do Stashio Skip. But right now, the strat is new enough and it's so nuanced enough that there are a lot of different ways that you can do this. And I will illustrate that right now. So when we were talking about it on Discord earlier, 1, 2. The bomb spread was really only done from the left side. I did that. I was late on the morph. 1, 2. And that's just how people were. Dang it. That's just how people were used to doing the bomb spread. 1, 2. Then somebody made a joke about, bomb spread spring ball baby skip. And I was like, I don't think that's possible, but you know what? I'm going to look into it anyway. And the first thing that I did when I looked into it was I decided to try and do the bomb spread from this dome over here. 1, 2. And I had tried this before. When I tried it before, it didn't work. But as you can see, that totally worked. And so I was like, wait, so we can do a bomb spread over next to the dome? Turns out you can, and it actually hits the baby with more bombs than doing it from the left wall does. And it might even be better. You know, whether or not it actually is, I don't know. I haven't spent enough time with it to say for sure. But it's at least viable, right? And that's the thing. Like, you can do it from the left wall, you can do it from right next to the dome, you cannot do a bomb spread at all and just do this jump and run thing. You can do a jump morph single bomb thing here, which is what Zost is doing earlier when I was watching him. You can even do a bomb spread from like right here. 1, 2. I was messing around with this earlier. And again, it just hits the baby in different ways. But it's still viable, right? So there are a ton of different ways to do Stashio Skip. But ultimately, the best thing you can do is try all the different methods that I've talked about in this tutorial. Watch different runners that do it. Try and copy their methodologies and just see what works best for you. The last thing I'm going to say here. So I mentioned a few minutes ago how 1, 2, plasma changed the way that... Why am I holding a charge? Plasma changed the way the baby reacted when shooting it right here. Comparatively to Spazer. And one of the main things that I've found that helps to do a 3 jump with plasma, really struggling here, is to shoot later. So like with Spazer, I would just shoot like as soon as possible, like this, basically. Come on. Like that, basically. With plasma, I've found it's a little better to shoot the baby when it's higher up. So do you see how the baby was in like a 10 or 11 o'clock position there? And the plasma beam kind of hit it more on the underside. You see that? That's the only other thing that I'll really say has kind of changed since I was doing 3 jump setup when I made the other video, the earlier part of this video thing. Stuff and things. Yeah, I don't think I need to like switch beams back and forth and show it and stuff. But yeah, hopefully this has been helpful. I think Stashio Skip is really cool. I think it's one of the coolest pieces of tech that's come out since I started running this game. So, you know, I was really frustrated with it at first, but I've spent a lot of time on it, and I feel like I've gotten it to a point where it's working out pretty well for me. So hopefully this helps, you know, others get used to doing Stashio Skip, and you know, hopefully we see it on more runs. So I'm gonna stop recording now, and hopefully you enjoyed the video, and yeah, good luck.